Good morning, sunshine. Today is going to be a little bit of a challenge. What you're seeing here was day 18 of Inktober. Today I'm doing day 19. The problem is that my paper has betrayed me. I had already completed the sketch for day 19 because I do my sketches ahead of time in Inktober so I don't run out of ideas. However, what was supposed to be amazing Kiki's delivery service fan art is now ruined by a big splotch. I'm gonna be honest, I kind of want to finish the painting anyways with the splotch on it and find a way to incorporate it, but I'm not quite sure how yet. Or if I'll get there in a day. I'm going to go make myself a cup of hot chocolate and then we'll start this.
Back to your other investors and making sure you get enough stock back from them that you own 40% of the company at the end of the day.
Since I didn't have a clear idea how to tackle the piece immediately with colors and how to hide the stain or keep it, I decided to just start with line art, and to make the line art process a bit faster today, since my painting process can be slower, I decided to go with a brush pen. Now, the problem I encountered is that my brush pens are Prismacolor brush pens, and I really love Prismacolor and their products, but the problem is that the nibs on their brush pens is more of a marker nib than a fiber nib, so it's different than, let's say, the Pentel Pocket brush pen. So because of that, the ends are kind of frayed because I use too much pressure on my brush pens and I'm not an experienced user with them. And so some of my lines in the drawing ended up a bit thicker than I expected, or I messed up a little bit of areas where the tip just wasn't cooperating. I'm getting a Pentel Pocket brush pen in the mail soon, but I'll probably get it after Inktober, so that's disappointing because I do wish I had explored with brush pens more. To fix some areas where the line art went wrong, I used my Secure White Jelly Roll, which is really useful in those situations.
This day is not going that great. So when I finished my line art, I stopped the camera and forgot to press record again. So you guys missed that part of the coloring. Let me explain what I did here. So this is the original green stain. What I first did is I did one in the background to see if I could replicate the color and the texture this one had, but turns out I couldn't. So I went over this part with just the green that I used in the backsplash just to glaze and make it seem like it's all coherent and it's the same stain. This one's going in front of her, this one's going behind her. I didn't glaze the areas where it went over her skirt because I thought those might be cool to do something with later. I don't know exactly what, but I kept that still. Then I mixed a blue, which is now leaking everywhere. Oh my god. Maybe I should put my drawing down before I explain it when it's still wet. What a mistake. It would appear that Kiki now has a little dangly, drippy hair thing. So this is where I'm at right now. I really gotta find a way to fix this and save this because I really like my drawing. And it's such a sad thing that today is just an unlucky art day. Lots of mistakes happening. I think that I'm going to go in with that same color that's on her dress. I'm gonna first do layers on her hair and dress to get darker areas. And second of all, I'm gonna water down this color and maybe use that in the background. Because that might be interesting. Glazed over the green, because right now the green's popping out too much for my taste. Especially since she's gonna have a red bow. So yeah, this is where I'm at right now. I'll check in again with you in a little bit.
So I first started by highlighting my mistakes with the white gel pen and fixing a couple edges that I didn't like. This turned out to be a mistake later on because when I added the layers, just where I put the gel pen down would poke through and make textures that I didn't necessarily want. For example, on her leg, you'll see later. Then I went in and I added darker shadows on the dress with the dark blue before I watered it down to use on the background. I should technically have a watered down version and have the other version nearby. It's just my little plates are so dirty right now and it's so hard to tell what's going on there. Here I watered down some of my blue color and now I'm applying it in the background. It looks very dark at first, but these inks dry a little lighter. And in the end, it wasn't as dark as I would have liked. I guess it is a good thing that it kind of faded and didn't stay that dark, just because it would have overshadowed the dress a little bit. After I applied that big background, I couldn't really do anything for a while because I had to wait for it to dry, so I just started to fix some little mistakes here and there. Ended up making them worse because it was wet, but I just felt so done with the piece. I just wanted to get it over with. Eventually I walked away from it to let it dry, and that turned out to be a good idea because when I came back to it, I had a much better, brighter mood, and it was just better, easier overall. I mixed my reds and then I put down my reds. I decided to make the little flower red, although I hadn't planned on a color for it before. I just thought it would be kind of weird if I made it another color. In retrospect, I could have made it yellow, but hey. Here, this is where I also mixed all the colors for the small accessories and added them in. The skin tone that I put down is basically just a watered down version of the red, because I was doing it quickly and I wanted her to have pale skin but still have a little tint of color to it, because if I just left it white it would have looked unnatural. Once all of that was dry and done, I finally added my white gel pen outlines, which made it a lot better in my opinion. Just because the dress was the same color as the background, it did work in unifying the piece, but it was also kind of distracting to look at. I think the white outline gives it that pop that just helps read the image better.
So right now, this is usually what I would consider finished for Inktober. It looks like this. This is what I have. I quite like the final result. So if it's okay with you guys, I will use some alcohol-based markers. Although they weren't listed in my supplies that I was using for Inktober, I think I deserve to treat myself and make something really nice right now to feel better about my day. So I'll see you in a bit.
Now that last stage, I didn't allow myself to do for any other piece. I've wanted to go back there in with markers with some of my last pieces to make them better and just fix the mistakes that I couldn't quite accomplish with liquid inks because I'm not good enough with liquid inks yet. Here I allowed it because today was a hard day. It was quite challenging for me, and I think that it embodies the spirit of Inktober, that I pushed through it and that I learned some things. But I also think that adding some pen at the end is not going to make me unlearn what I've learned today. It's not going to make it any worse. It's going to make it better, if anything, because I'm learning to use markers on top of liquid inks, which I'd never done before. So hey, I went way overboard with the white gel pen because I tried to make it so her dress would look like the sky behind her, but a concentrated version of it. So I basically followed the same pattern that I followed for the sky, but with a lot more stars in it. I don't know if I quite accomplished what I was going for there, but I do like how it ended up. I tried to darken the hair with some markers, but then I was just going on top of the gel pen lines and eventually decided I didn't like that, so I went back over it with the gel pen. There's some small mistakes in the piece, like if you watch her leg that doesn't have a shoe, that leg has a lot of blue on it from when I did my wash and I wasn't careful enough, and I tried to cover it with some gel pen, but when I put down the skin tone, it kind of pops off a little bit more.
So there you go. This is my finished illustration for today. I know I didn't add a lot, but I added a lot of white gel pen details that really made it a lot better in my opinion. And also I deepened some of the colors with my marker so I wouldn't have to layer the ink colors again and again. I fixed her skin. I added a skin color with this marker. It's called Studio Series Artist Markers. It's one of these cheap alcohol marker brands. I think Gigi turned out pretty cute. Going back and improving this illustration for me just made this day a lot better, because I can finally have one Inktober piece that is a complete page and that I feel happy with, and that I feel like I actually accomplished something I would like, or something that I wouldn't think I'd be able to do normally. So yeah, it was a good idea to keep pushing through my mistakes this time. The only bad thing about today is that I made one more mistake, and it's not in the piece itself. It leaked on the next page. Again. So much for that extra wet strength. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will be posting 2 videos a week for all of Inktober. Also, if you're also doing Inktober, please leave me a comment down below telling me what you've been up to and showing me some of your pieces maybe. I'd love to make new friends that do art like me, because it's always motivating and inspiring. Alright, well, that's all I really have to say, so I'll leave you guys. Goodbye! See you next Wednesday! Goodbye. I'll see you all next Wednesday.